what I thought.
It's a tough situation, isn't it?
Well, the problem is, if we allow every one, you guys are gonna be inundated, just so you know.
We would be doing that for every person then.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody ready to start the meeting? Jim?
Yeah.
Grace? Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the October 11th, 2022 Borough Council Budget Meeting. Please rise for Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to open the floor for public comment on agenda items. Seeing no, I'm sorry.
Penny's gonna come on.
Oh, he's going to be public comment.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Chief Whitebread, Milltown Volunteer Fire Department. I was asked to come here tonight after an email that was sent out on Sunday evening of some concerns that the fire department has with our current funding status and our assets that we have. I was asked to come here that council has a few questions, so I brought my backup with my money guy, so let's fire away.
Well, typically, the way this works is that you go over, we don't have any questions because we're just receiving this.
Hmm?
And, you know, typically the process is it's submitted, Sally reviews it, we get a chance to look at it, then we're better prepared. So here we are, our agenda tomorrow night was to vote on the 2023 budget. And now we are considering your budget, which
Okay.
we very much want to do.
Understood, I appreciate
But we
that.
do not have any questions for you.
Okay,
If you could help us understand your situation,
absolutely.
then if we have questions, we'll follow up. If we understand everything tonight, the budget would move forward. If we need more time and we need to do follow-up questions, that's how we'll do it.
Okay,
How's that?
not a problem.
Thank you.
So as you'd see outlined in the letter of concern that I had there, since 2012, at 2012, we were receiving 125,000, I believe it was, as a yearly contribution for us for operating expenses. Then in 2016, that moved, and council approved, and it was moved to 150,000. Since then, that's what we've received with the economy, cost of inflation, everything like that. And we've been trying to pay these same bills with the same amount of money. So with that said, I have Jim here, who's the financial secretary. He did put together a packet for council and members. If you would like, we can give you that now.
Yeah.
Oh, we have it.
Sally
Oh,
put it out
okay.
there.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys already have all of our numbers showing our operating expenses. Now, this is solely our operating expenses. This is not us doing any renovations to the building, anything like that. This is the money you give us every year, the contribution. That goes to pay for the fuel, the electric, the maintenance, things like that. It's not renovations or anything above and beyond just keeping the place running. Fire trucks, the fuel for the fire trucks, everything like that. And exponentially, it's grown. I mean, I did some quick Googling because, you know, I'm not a money person, but the equivalent of the 150,000 is equivalent to 116,000 nowadays from when we were given that, which I outlined in here. So Currently, we're at a $59,570 deficit in our operating expenses that we've pulled from our general fund, to be able to make ends meet on the operations side. We did just receive the $37,500, the last quarter check. However, even when applying it to that, I still now have 3 months, so it's going to go back up. You can see in there, one of the sheets of paper that you'll see, there is pretty much the whole sheet of paper is taken up with vehicle maintenance. This fleet is not a very cheap fleet of equipment to maintain. They get used hard, they get driven hard, and when I say they get driven hard, they don't get driven badly, but it's a lot of stop and go, brakes, things like that. So, you know, tires on a vehicle that weight and everything, you're going through tires, you know, things of that nature.
Okay. I just had one quick question. I know Sally, and then Sally, you, Chief Whitebear is saying that in 2016, it went back up to 150 and has been 150 since?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was at 150 the entire time. Mr. Whelan let me know that from 2012 to 2016, I believe it was, that it was at 125. It got increased to 150 in 2016.
So then, just so we have some context, so from 2016 to 2021, did you have a deficit?
It slowly kept going, but we were able to make ends meet. We were able to pull money, and it wasn't as big of a number as it is today. Last thing we wanted to do was burden citizens or anybody with our deficit, but it's getting to the point where, as I, stated in my, letter of concern, that possibly without any kind of intervention in the next 3 years, we won't have any money left in the general fund to be able to sustain. And I know Sally and I talked, the 5,000 at the end, asking for it to be increased to possibly 230 with 5,000 of that to cover the cost of water and sewer. I get it that it's 2025 until we will start paying that, so that's fine. Like, if we want to wait till then, if we can't, I get it. I would ask for 225 to be considered for the simple fact of, I don't like coming and asking for money. Believe me, I don't. You have never seen me come here and ask for money, just a signature to buy a fire truck that I've made sure the payments were made with grant money. So I don't want to come back to the water and trough again next year. I want to make sure that we have what we need to sustain the life safety to the community and move forward from there.
Well, our feeling is that you shouldn't feel that we can't communicate about what's best for our citizens, whether it's fun to come up to the podium or not. We're in it together.
Understood.
Whatever's best for the citizens and what we should be talking about together.
Understood.
So we'll probably take that 5 out.
Okay.
But knowing, if you knew it was not till 2025, what was the 5 going to go towards?
I don't know what my water's going to be when it does start to come. Also, I'm not aware of any agreement saying that what's going to be the contingency in 2025 with this hydrant rental. Who's paying that?
Okay.
So if I had to earmark it and put it to the side for now, I have 6 firefighters that are live-ins, so that's 6 showers at least a day, things like that. I don't know what my water bill and sewer is going to be when it comes time. So if I had to bank that and hold on to it for 2 years, so that way I had a cushion when water and sewer did get applied to me as well, that's what I was doing. Also, the uncertainty of when the 10-year plan ran out, the hydrant rental, who's picking up hydrant rental? I mean, because if the fire department's got to pay hydrant rental, this is going to get really, really bad. So that's,
we need to be talking more often about all of this.
that's why I was putting that 5,000 in there for the uncertainty of what ifs, what's going to happen in 2025.
Okay. Sally?
Well, I actually have a question on the grant, the SBCA grant. So you're paying out $24,000 for that grant, where'd that come from?
What SPCA grant?
SBCA.
SCBA.
I'm sorry.
SCBA, that money will,
It says SB.
the SCBA, that's that AFG, the FEMA grant.
Mhm.
The 24,000 that we are responsible for, that 10%, that will come from Fireman's Relief. Fireman's Relief, the 46,000 that they got, that can pay for firefighting equipment, firefighter safety equipment, and that's considered safety equipment, so they can pay that.
What is an SCBA?
The self-contained breathing apparatus that we wear on our backs. Yep. The big pack that we wear to breathe the good air while we're in the fire, that's what that is. The average cost of one SCBA is $7,000. I am getting roughly, I think it was 30 air packs. So, you know, at 7,000 versus the grant we got and only having to pay 10%, I'm good with that. I'm good with the 24.
So the other grant, TIC grant,
The TIC grant, that is one that we just submitted for. That is through Firehouse Subs,
that's
the
right.
restaurant. They give the first 600 applicants every quarter. It's a grant for life-saving equipment for the community. TIC stands for thermal imaging camera. The thermal imaging camera allows us to see through the smoke and everything to see a person that may be in a bedroom, laying in a house or anything like that to make a quick and efficient grab to get them out of the building. So we put in for $30,402 for 3 thermal imaging cameras to replace our current antiquated ones that are starting to nickel and dime us. So we're trying to go that route before we have to pay for them as well.
okay, and they pay the whole 32.
They will pay that 100%. Yep, we supplied them with an invoice and we would see from there what they give us.
Okay.
So we're, fingers crossed, we'll get that one too. If not, we'll apply again next quarter.
So I just did a real quick calculation based on the numbers that you gave me for 9 months, that you're actually planning on your operating expenses being about $270,000 in 2022.
Money guy, your turn.
And all I did was add up all the different expenses that you had and then divided it by 9 times 12. So I'm coming up with like 270,000.
We did do the renovation to the EMS quarters, and that renovation did cost us a little over $30,000. They were in a very, very, very dated section of the building, and we wanted to bring it up to, you know, a better living condition for them. So that won't be an expense that we'll see again. Well, at least for quite many years.
I didn't divide it out the way you did because of where this deficit started back in 2021. We calculated the expenses for all of 2021 and
Oh, I'm
till-
sorry, I see, yep.
until today, or till yesterday, I'm sorry.
Okay, so that's more than a year.
Yes, yes.
So that's more like 15 months. And then I'm gonna subtract out the 30,000. So it's more like 180 is what it is averaging out for a year. Does that sound?
Again, I didn't do that. I would have to go back and,
All right, well,
I'd have to go back and run the numbers.
Okay, I can look at it
Okay.
and talk about it tomorrow as well. Okay, I think I've asked all my questions, but.
So I didn't know about the request until yesterday. The email was sent on October 9th, 2022 at 6:59 PM. Is there a reason that Councilwoman Jenny Miller and myself were not CC'd on that?
I didn't have email addresses. I sent it to Sally, and I didn't know if it would go out to everybody at that point.
Okay. What was the operating balance for 2022, beginning of the year?
Again, Mayor, we calculated this through. I would have to go back and look in the record. I can't answer that standing here.
And I'm
I
just
think
taking
it
it,
was around $4,000 because we have to hold some money because we've got several, accounts that are doing automatic withdrawal.
okay. And then I just took a quick perusal through here. Does this packet include any fundraising efforts?
No,
Okay, do you know anything about your fundraising totals for the last few years? If not, you can get it.
I can tell you that the gun raffle was about $5,000 last year because we did it virtually. The Christmas tree sale was about $2,000. The last mail drive that we did was around $12,000,
What year was that?
2021.
Okay,
And we held off on that because of the public outpouring for firefighter Manier. We did not do one this year, rather than going after the people twice in 1 year.
so you think for 21 you raised roughly 19, is that fair estimation?
Yeah, plus some hall rentals and in-kind donations. So it would have been a little more than that. Again, I wasn't quite sure how to prepare this document.
Sure.
And
So rather than me asking these additional questions, can you just get me the fundraising totals from 18 through 22?
18, yes,
And then did your workers' comp insurance go up?
it hasn't yet. It's been pretty steady for the last couple of years.
But have you been in touch with a broker or anything that's indicated to expect something?
Not yet.
Okay.
Ours doesn't renew, I think ours renews in June. So we did not see an increase this past June. I don't know what we may face since the
Yeah,
account
but we
is
had a
still
major
active.
situation this year.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Sally, are you saying you need some more time to,
Yeah, well, I'd like to, and talk to him about where they think they're gonna end up, so that we have that idea, of their operating expenses, cause, 30,000 was in, is that 30,000 for the EMS renovation in here?
That was we pulled that from our general fund. Maybe I didn't make that clear. That 30,000 that we spent was not out of the budget money.
Okay.
That was out of our general
That
fund.
wasn't out of the contribution,
No, correct,
okay,
correct. That was out of our personal account to make sure that they had that.
okay. So, well, I would like to at least kind of get an idea for you
Okay.
guys, where they're coming in on 2022, like an
Okay.
estimate. I could do that.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I have some questions, before they walk away or leave.
Go ahead, Angie. Counselor Lloyd?
Thank you. This is for either one that can answer. My question is, how many, roughly, I didn't see this in the email, how many calls per year, does the fire company respond to, and how many trucks typically go out on each call of your, trucks go out on each call?
So we run about anywhere between 650 to 700 calls a year. With at minimum one, but most of the time it's the engine and the truck that are going out the door for these responses. So two pieces of apparatus. And that's, the incident man hours that is listed came to 2,414 hours of man hours last year. Well, this year so far. No, sorry, 2021.
Okay, and that doesn't include, I guess the water rescue things that you guys do, that would be different. That would be more different equipment. I'm sorry, I don't really know much about fighting fires. I
So-
appreciate all of you for what you do, but I don't really know a lot about it.
So the water rescues and everything, if we get a water rescue call, that typically gets one boat and the squad, and then we will pull the second boat with the duty officer vehicle, so we typically try to take two boats to the water rescue. That way, if one has a mechanical issue, the other one can quickly go into deployment and go do the rescue.
Okay, sorry, I have another question. The thermal imaging
Yep.
camera that you had mentioned, that you applied for the grant, correct?
Yep.
So, and if you said this, I apologize, how often do you use that? Is that used on like every call, or?
So the thermal imagers are basically used definitely on any structure fire. It is a piece of equipment that gets pulled on every call. We can actually use the thermal imagers to check for extensions. So if we get called for a stove fire or something like that, and the fire, has impinged on the cabinets or anything, if there's a chance it could have extended into the wall, the thermal imaging camera will pick up the fire that's in the wall in the camera. So we'll be able to better know, without tearing open a wall if we can, and then save more damage from occurring, we can see it with the thermal imaging camera to see if there's fire in the wall or not.
Okay, that seems like a very important piece of equipment. And the last question I have is the fire trucks and the water. When you fill them, is that from the hydrants?
Yep.
Is that where it's filled from?
Yep.
So my next question would be then, when this goes through that you have to pay for the water, that would be paying for the water from the hydrants to fill the trucks to go out on calls.
Well, I don't know if we are going to be paying hydrant rentals, if we're gonna have to pay for water from the hydrants. I know nothing about it. I don't even know if tomorrow, if this was a thing and we had hydrant rentals, if they're metered, are we paying for the number of gallons we use to put out a house fire?
Counselor Sykes?
I asked that question to the folks at Viola
Oh,
when I was talking to them. They assured me that when they fight fires, there will be no charge, contrary to what
oh,
we were led to believe. We
right.
may want to check that, but
Yeah,
they
we would get that in writing.
they said that is not
Okay.
a charge.
But they would have to have it, the water at the firehouse.
Right,
When they were
right.
fighting fires.
Right.
Okay.
If I may, there was a time, and I'm not sure, it was back in the sixties or seventies, when the Borough Water Authority showed a cost for what they called hydrant rental, was for maintenance to the hydrants. And that's what we're talking about, more so than the water that we're using. Because and at some point, there was some legal interpretation, and that charge was taken out of the fire department line item budget. Now that's, again, I'm going back a good ways, because Lou can tell you, I've been around a while. The other thing is, it's very interesting, we get a monthly statement from Viola, or however it's pronounced,
Right.
for water and sewer for $30. Now, those folks won't even answer the phone for $30. So can you imagine what the bill's gonna be when the rates take effect?
Right. Well, let's just say that is a priority thing to follow up on. And in terms of forecasting, where things will fall out financially, yeah.
I mean, you may find, Sally and council, that my numbers are off, asking for the 225. We'll even dismiss right now if you want that 5,000. But looking at the future, like,
Right.
I don't think I'm gonna be too far off with when it comes time to pay all these other expenses.
Yeah.
And I don't see, honestly, my fuel bill has doubled. You'll see the numbers, like, all my vehicles run on diesel.
Right.
And the whole time they're sitting on a fire incident, they're running. They cannot be shut off. In the wintertime, when we go out, even at trainings, we can't shut them off. We have to leave them run only because of the pumps with the water in it and everything like that. We have to make sure the pumps don't freeze if they're outside. So it's just gonna exponentially get worse for us, and that's, at this point, you know, I know in 2018, 2019, when I took over as fire chief, council had asked me, you need to let us know when the time comes that that's not enough. I'm here.
Okay. Are there any other questions from council?
No, I just want to note that, so I'm looking at the original email, and we were not on it. So I'd like you to confirm your email. And I've had the same email since you were chief.
I got a new phone. I don't have any of my old stuff. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's on the website as well.
Noted. Jenny? Can I get your email address?
Oh, it's just jmiller@middletownborough.com.
And Mayor, is yours Jay Curry?
James H. Curry, III@gmail.com.
At Gmail?
Yes.
Would you like me to send it to the borough one as well?
I don't have a borough email.
Oh, okay.
I've never had one.
I have one other quick question.
Go ahead, Council Lloyd.
Chief Whitebread, on the email that you sent in the letter, it says that, so far year to date, the members have logged over 1,941 hours. That's just on the incidences and training, correct? That doesn't include any fundraising?
Correct. The 2021 total was 2414, and that was the number of hours for incidents and training only, not fundraising. To date for this year, 2022, we're at 1941 so far for this year. So, and we still have 3 months left, and it's furnace malfunction season. So, today alone in the borough, and you know, people don't know it because that's what we're here for. We handled an accident with injuries, we handled a gas leak, and we handled a fire alarm that turned out to be burnt food on a stove, all in Middletown. That's the kind of stuff we deal with every day.
Then, relative to the budget, we will let Sally look at this, reach back out to you, and move a final number to our meeting tomorrow night. Does that sound right? Okay. And one more note, for the minutes. I pulled up my phone because I also pulled up the email, from October 9th and noticed that the 2 missing emails. And just want to note that, going forward, we'll probably just send that back for correction.
Okay.
So you can add anybody that's missing and resend it.
Sure thing.
Thank you. Anything else from anyone on council or, the Middletown Fire Department?
I have nothing. I thank you for your guys'
Oh.
time.
Jack, you'd have to wait until general public comment at the end. Thank you so much for all you do for the safety of our town.
Yes.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you very much.
If you guys get done before 8 o'clock, stop down. We're having open
You know
house.
we say- Thank you.
Thank you.
Then moving on to, agenda item number 1, overall budget.
So what you have, for you is, there's several narratives that I wanted you to have. And then you have, Excel sheets, that gives you all what was approved last year, the 2022 approved plan. The first draft that was submitted to you on October 15th. And that was a zero balanced budget for both general fund and electric fund. And, the draft 2, includes included, what I did is I included, some additional items that I knew were coming down the pike, one being workman's comp benefit expenses. We were told that that number is gonna increase. I still don't have confirmation of what that is, but I did raise it to accommodate, some additional costs. The other item that it includes, is an addition of a public works hire, at a salary of $57,500 approximately, plus benefits. When I was speaking with, Mr. Wellsbach, he decided that if we're gonna put in a full-time, he would take out the part-time hire, so that was removed. And the third item that I added in was the $50,000 that was, discussed to provide engineering costs for, projects that are coming out of the comprehensive park plan. So when the comprehensive park plan is completed, if there are projects that the council would like to begin, that $50,000 would go towards initial engineering related costs. The next two scenarios basically takes that draft and adds in, a millage increase for both. Now, electric stays the same because the only change that would come to electric is if the, transfer is, changed. But in these two scenarios, on the general fund, with a, increase of 0.839, millage, would be a positive fund balance of 173,627.81.
Which page is this?
The end of, right there.
Oh.
And then, the last column is the, 1.65 millage increase, would, have a fund balance of a little over 400,000. Now, that doesn't mean we'll end with that. That would mean I would need to get suggestions on, how you would either utilize that money or, what increase you. Anybody have any questions for me? Now, I noted at the bottom also, this does not include any additional contribution to the volunteer fire department, nor to the historical restoration requests. I did reach out to get details, but I haven't heard back from her. The other narrative that I have is an actual millage increase. So it shows, like we did last year, it gives us what on a $100,000 house, what would be the real estate taxes, how that breaks out monthly, and how much more per month it would be for a resident that owns a $100,000 house. That narrative.
Sally,
Yes.
I'm having a little trouble hearing you sometimes when like the papers are turning, because I think the phone's a little further away. If you could talk just a little bit louder, I'm sorry.
Sure. Do you have questions?
No, I was just trying to follow along, and it was just when like the paper stuff was hard to hear sometimes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can do that. Now I'm your neighbor.
Sally, your plan for tomorrow night was to hopefully vote on the budget. But now we might need to wait until those final figures come in from the fire department and for historical restoration. Is that where you think we stand right now?
If we wanna wait for the fire department, but I wouldn't wait for detail from the historical, cause I emailed them last week
Okay,
for details and did not get any. If she wants to send me something, the problem is that's gonna delay, the vote, but
right.
if we could have the agenda similar to what we had tonight, we could agree on how we want the plan to be,
Okay,
what we're willing to add in and not add in.
okay. And we could talk about that tonight,
Yes,
the add-ins.
yes.
Okay. So Sally has done such a great job of the narratives that tell us where the adjustments, the increases, the changes are as our budget process goes on. Are there any thoughts or questions or objections to the increases, to the 3 increases that Sally just described to us?
So we're looking, like, so there was a plan discussed, was it last year, like a five-year plan or something? Which one of these reflects like the plan that was in place?
It would be the 1.65.
Okay.
The 5-year plan was 5 years of a 1.65 increase.
Mm-hmm.
You're referring, Alan, are you referring to the 3 things in terms of the full-time?
Right,
Is
the
that what you're
workers'
asking?
comp, the public works full-time, and the 50,000 design.
Well, there can't be an objection to the workers' comp because it is what it is.
Yeah.
So
Right,
it's
so it's really only 2.
right.
Yeah.
So it's whether you want to
Yeah.
add
We
the
could
full,
object, it doesn't matter. So what?
full-timer and the,
Mhm.
The $50,000 of engineering.
right. Well, that's,
Well, we know the public works full-time position, Ken said that he would be working with Greg to, sort of survey the needs of the department and see where the extra help, not that you don't know now, but to bring back to council. Because we don't have necessarily information on what that position could do, what their schedule might be. So this is a placeholder for that effort. We know you'll be coming back with a fuller sense of the person's responsibilities and what they can do to fill in the gap, if you will.
And like Sally said, we're looking at, possibly just giving up the part-timer, because it's hard to hire a part-time.
Right.
They just don't wanna stick with the borough.
Right.
Or even maybe keep the part-timer, but get rid of the 2, I think we have 2 casuals in there, that are in there. So, we can tweak numbers and try and
Right.
get it closer. Our original budget was, we held the line on everything
Yeah.
for you, except
Yeah.
the stuff that actually goes up out of our control. But, yes, so we can, I will unfortunately will probably be here for the next meeting, but I will have everything ready for Matt. And it's kind of, we'll look at, not
Yeah.
actually what these guys do per se, but what they can't do, what the extra guy will bring to,
Right.
what's not
There's
getting
no hurry
done.
on that. We know in concept that department's been under-resourced for a while.
It's,
Just coming back, because then we would know more specifically.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't as bad when we were able to have 5
Angie, can you hear Greg?
Pardon me?
It's tough. Is he in the back of the room?
Yeah.
Yes,
You might
I'm
wanna
sorry.
come to the.
I'll stand up for it.
And, it's okay. And the $50,000 is for the park plan, anticipating by April, we will receive the park plan from HRG. And also knowing that right now seems to be this moment, where out in the granting world, there are funds for exactly the kind of projects we want to do, to improve the parks for our citizens here in Middletown. So that just seems like, smart planning. Yeah, yeah.
So there's no objection.
So
to
there
that.
are no objections to that?
Nope.
Okay, then we'll keep
Is
those
there
in.
already engineering in there? So this would be like a thicker cushion, so to speak?
Jim asked if there was already engineering in
There's
there.
engineering in zoning and in some of Greg's budgets, but this I placed into the park budget
Oh, okay, great.
specifically.
Good, all right.
Yeah, there's engineering in there, but not specifically
Nope, I got it.
for us to move forward with what we believe may be wonderful opportunities.
Yepper.
With these grants, and,
Right.
we just, kind of look ahead.
Yeah.
and have time.
So then, right now, there are no objections to that addition to the budget?
No.
Okay, Scott, Counselor Sykes?
You know, I mean, that, I'm not opposed to park engineering. I don't, the public works hire, you say we're removing the part-timer and then we won't hire the casuals in exchange?
Yeah, I mean, we can, I don't know how Sally did it, in there, how she adjusted it, but that was one of the things we talked about. Unfortunately, Ken, is off this week, and we didn't have a chance to talk to him about that. And the part-timer was something that I don't know if we can actually remove that out of there, because he fought for that for the union, on the union side of it, for the borough to allow to have a part-timer. So it may be us removing the casuals, the more I
Okay.
think about that.
All right, well, to answer your question, the full-timer was put in, the part-timer was taken out. The casuals were not.
What's,
But I can be honest with you, I don't think we've hired casuals
Yeah, for a
in
while.
2 years,
And
yeah.
they're not,
They're not
You just
available,
can't-
people
and there's
don't
not
wanna.
much money.
And
Right.
casuals are different than the summer help. So casuals, there's a time limit on casuals too. Summer help, they're not bound by, union and stuff, but casuals, we actually had summer help then that would go to casual work, and I think they were allowed to work through November or something like that. So it gave us extra time, and it gave us earlier time for casuals. But,
Okay,
so it may be the casuals that we have to look at removing, Sally.
Sally,
Okay.
in the budget, how much is allocated to casuals even though we haven't hired?
And you might,
Ellen,
detail
if you
sheet.
to answer your, that would be the only one I'd be opposed to,
okay.
potentially.
Mhm.
You know what, I don't think I have it separated.
That's all right.
I'll have to get back to you on that number.
The full-timer is how much, 57?
57,
Okay.
and the savings with the part-time was around, well, it's 57.5 plus benefits.
Ah.
So it's about 100,000 minus about 30,000 for the
Part-time.
part-timer.
Which if you can't take out, then it's the casuals, and I would assume the two casual positions don't equal.
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head, I'm
What'd you
sorry.
say, Greg?
I didn't bring the
Okay.
detail sheets
Casuals, I
up.
think, would be close to what one part-timer would.
Okay,
Mm.
so 70, roughly 70,000
Yeah,
additional. Okay,
but I'll check on that number.
Okay.
And I can tell you, just today, it was kind of my first opportunity to see what we do, and we haven't done any blacktopping on our own. We did the parking lot out of Oak Hills. One of the main reasons was to get these guys, before John Hevel leaves, accustomed to that paver. And I can tell you, every guy, and I'm using electric guys now to help fill that gap, and that was simply for a parking lot.
Mhm.
So if there's any intentions in the future for doing streets, and I know this was a challenges with previous, public works directors. He was up actually to, I believe, 12 to 13 guys, and I know we will never go back there. But when you only have 5 and you're pulling your mechanic and using electrical guys for that, just to do a parking lot, it's gonna tell you, we do have streets that, there's no way we're gonna get out of having to do our streets sooner or later. If you look at the conditions, especially since they've done all the little crack sealing, that shows you how bad the streets are in town. It's gonna be a challenge, it really is.
Well, we'll
It's gonna be
certainly
one
wait
challenge
for
we
you and
have.
Ken to bring back. I know that it's been brought up, I think by Counselor Miller, you know, if a person could have a schedule that overlapped on the weekends to support all the activities in the parks for some part of the time, so that overtime wouldn't have to go towards, but just a thought.
Yeah, the overtime is, I don't think that's hardly an issue at all as far as the weekends. Our overtime is very minimal. Matter of fact, I think for the most part, they take comp time,
Comp.
so, and they'll take off.
Okay,
You know, you're talking 2 hours every other weekend sometimes, just in the summertime.
okay.
So, but it is something worth looking at. If our park system grows
Yes, exactly.
bigger, especially, you know, maybe a future splash pad or something like that, I foresee you're probably gonna need someone on a shift on a weekend.
For the weekend, yeah.
Possibly,
Just a thought.
yes.
Thank you. Thank you. And Sally, those are just a few things we'll look at tomorrow?
Well, I think, I can bring the casual numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, the decision for tomorrow would be on the volunteer fire department
Mm-hmm.
and whether or not we're putting anything into historic restoration. I know that it was mentioned to put 5,000 in there for plaques and something else, but,
Yeah, with no detail, it's difficult to
Right.
assign a number. Yeah,
right.
that's
So
absolutely right.
that would have to be, decided on tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Before the budget would be approved, but we can talk about, tax increases and.
Right, that's next.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Sally has given us two different scenarios of a millage of 11 and a millage of 11.811. We can look at those numbers. We can have some discussion tonight, or just know that if we need more time to look at these numbers, it will come up tomorrow night, correct? So,
Sally,
Yes,
so the, millage that, Ellen was just speaking of, the 11.0, it's an additional, so an increase of 0.84, is that correct?
yeah, 0.839, correct.
So if council went with that, that would leave, a surplus in the general fund, correct?
Correct.
And that doesn't even take into account the fire department and or the historical restoration?
Correct. It does
Okay.
not.
Okay. And the same with an increase of 1.65?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
ah,
Ms. Wilmer,
yes,
Oh.
Counselor Stites.
you know, if we have to do an increase, I noticed not on here was the past, per capita tax that we did. Or, can you do an option with raising that to $100?
I sure can.
Mm.
Maybe 100 and 125.
Yeah, that's look at the options, absolutely.
So you want a scenario with no tax increase, but the increase to the per cap?
Right, right, yeah.
What was the last time that we raised the per capita from the minor $20 or whatever it used to be to what it is currently? How much revenue did that bring to the borough?
I'd have to go back and look, but it was substantial because we went from $10 to like $68.
And I'll just go on the record, one of the reasons I do like that is because I think we get hammered by the realtors out there that are clueless as to how to sell properties. But when we raise real estate tax, they look strictly at the millage number. They don't actually look at the house
Right.
you're getting and versus the price and everything,
Yeah.
and equate it to what you pay in Hershey. They don't look at that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they don't tell you, oh, hey, you got a per capita tax of
That's really
$100.
low. Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the realtors hammer us when we raise
Yeah.
the taxes.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at alternate ways to
Right.
bring in revenue.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Because when you look at the value of the tax that we have versus what you pay for the same house in Hershey, you're getting a good deal here.
Right, right.
The
But
per,
when the realtors spin it their 11 mil,
Mm-hmm.
because they're actually clueless salespeople. They're harming us as a town.
the per capita increase was in 19, during the 19 budget season?
No, it was last year when we did we did two raises. We did a real estate and a per cap raise.
Oh, so we did one,
Recognizing it in 2022.
okay, so last year we did 1.65, which was the first year of the 5-year plan, and we did a per capita.
Correct.
And that was the first time we had done per capita in a very long time. Got it. Now that refreshes my life.
Well, then I guess too, while you're at it, do you want to give her any number where like you raise the real estate a half a mil and then do,
I'd have to know what that per capita equated to.
Yeah.
When you raised it from 78 and 20 or whatever the heck it is,
Yeah.
what was that realization of $58? $58 per person, what did that bring in total? And then I can,
do we know how many people I went ahead? Or we can do some,
Well, it's probably occupation. I'm thinking 4,000. I don't know why that number's jumping in my head. But if we
That-
went from $10 to $67.50, I believe it was.
well, just using 68 times 4,000 would be 272.
Mm.
That's what that would have brought in.
Mm-hmm.
is that subtracting what we had previously? Because you're not
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
the
yeah,
total.
subtracting. I was
Yeah.
just using the $68, the $68 increase.
I'll give you a definitive number of where we were last year versus where we were this year.
Okay.
And
So if we raise it 25, well, that'd be $100,000.
Right.
what does the 1.65 equate to?
Well, the one, I have that on,
Is that in the green chart? Oh,
Is it 401?
the 11.0 millage would be 3.3 million, and the 11.811 would be 3.5 million. Total.
but what is that increase in terms of over last year's?
It would be, So 2.9, 200,000, 300,000,
200,000 for the,
300,000, or, no, I'm sorry, $400,000 between the 10.1 mil and the 11,
400, okay.
okay? And the 11.8 would be, I'm sorry, 11.8 would be from 3.5 to 2.9, so that would be 6.
600,000. Okay.
10.1. All right. Councilor Lloyd,
Yes,
for tomorrow's budget meeting, will you be attending by phone or in person?
I'm not even sure if I can be here tomorrow. If
Okay.
I can do tomorrow,
Okay.
I'm scheduled to work. I'm
Yeah,
trying to get somebody to cover, but I won't know until tomorrow.
okay.
But a question actually about, the millage and the per capital tax that we were just talking about.
Mhm.
Counselor Sykes, you were saying, about maybe splitting, like a lower millage and an increase in the other tax. Are you gonna prepare something like that, Sally?
Yes, I will, well, what I'll do is I can do a little, spreadsheet that says, this is how much income we'll have if we do 0.5 mils, 0.839 mils, 1 mil, 1.65, whatever you want. I'll just do it on the income, and then I'll add in the per cap to show you what the bottom line would be. So our income would be this, our total expense here, and then what would be the bottom line.
Okay, and can you just refresh my memory? I think this was correct, but, the per cap tax, that actually does hit renters as well. It just doesn't, apply to anyone that's retired, correct?
Yeah, anyone under 18 and anyone over 65.
And I think if they're in college also.
Correct, students.
There's a monetary, I think it's 5,000. Under 5,000, they don't pay it.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
I don't remember seeing that in the ordinance, but I can look.
I think there's some dollar amount.
Are we making a recommendation then for the increase in the per cap for you to calculate? Did we make a?
200 to 125. So I'll do two
Okay.
spreadsheets, one with the per capita $100 and the different millage, and what it would bottom
100
line
to
give us, and then
125.
one at 125 with the different millage and what it would give us.
Well, if
Okay.
that,
So I'll give you kind of clean millage at like 0.5.
if that preliminary math is correct, then by Scott's calculation, if you raise the per capita $50, it would be half of the millage amount at 0.839. It would be $200,000. If you raise the per capita tax $75, it would be half of the 1.65 millage.
Mhm.
What is per capita tax in some of these other towns that you've researched?
Oh, 250. I mean, go to Hershey, they hammer you.
Okay. That's interesting, all right. Okay. Anything else before? Oh.
Yes,
Councilor Kucinich.
I just want to remind everybody that the original intent of this plan was to get us off the electric funds transfer. Because we all know that the state has in the past, and I'm sure they're still thinking about this at some point, making it, and hopefully it won't happen, that they decide that you can't transfer money from your electric funds anymore, because if that would happen, let's say it happens next year, we're gonna have to be at 16.5 mils to cover our budget.
Okay.
And the
That's
people are
good
not
to
gonna
know.
be happy going from where we're at now to 16.5 mils. Just,
If
I'm just,
there are, if there are no other comments from council or Sally, we will then move this to tomorrow night. You
Yeah.
want an executive?
Yeah, we have to have one anyway
Have
for
an
fall.
executive.
Right, but, we will definitely do that. Is there any other general public comment?
Sal, you drinking this?
Jack, and then Director Wright?
Citizen Jack, you've been asking for the fire department for fundraising. Fundraising went flat when they closed the US. And now that,
what?
when they closed the US down, COVID, everybody's fundraising with it. And now you're living paycheck to paycheck, or maybe not even living paycheck to paycheck. So I don't think it looks too right for fundraising to any great degree. So. Thank you.
We should do like a community yard sale. We all pick something we have and auction it off. One thing that each of us don't want.
Oh, yes. One person's.
Or
another
isn't
person's
used.
treasure.
Or is it being used,
Director Wright?
I just looked it up really quickly. There's a difference. There's a per capita tax and another one. They call it
Occupation,
Occupational tax.
that's the one we're talking about.
iSpire was $200 and $5.
Which was 5.
The per capita was 5 and the 200 was occupation.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, we want occupation.
200 and, I'm sorry, the other one?
They were both.
$5 was per capita and 200 was an occupation.
Oh, for occupation.
That's the one we're talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm misquoting.
Thank you.
I think it is.
That's what we call it here.
Yeah.
No, it's occupation. That was increased.
Mhm.
Per capita is $10.
Yeah, everybody pays per capita, right?
Yeah, everyone pays per capita at $10.
But they're grouped on the same bill.
Correct.
They are.
Yeah. So you don't even see a breakout, I don't think, on the bill.
Yeah, you do.
Or does it say that?
Yeah, it'll give you a breakout.
Oh, you might be right, with the little slip.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, didn't Jim Diamond say we couldn't raise it per capita?
Yeah, I don't think that's one that we can,
No.
we
Yeah,
can change.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, seeing no other public comment, we will be adjourning to executive session and not returning. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
so move.
Second.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Tomorrow night at